Suyan Town North Street. The end of summer lingers in this southern town where the air is muggy and windless. As such, the ice-sweet drinks and frozen coconuts being sold along the streets looks especially tempting. Luke takes two fresh coconuts from the vendor and gives you one. Then he continues walking along the street with you, talking about the town tour plans.
원래 이 길에서 출발해서 마을을 쭉 돌아보면서 관광지를 둘러볼까 했거든. 근데 생각해보니까 루트가 이상한 거 있지? 며칠 동안 계획을 수정해봐야겠어.
What's not right?
좀 너무 관광 코스 같은 느낌이랄까?
That's not surprising. Recently, there has been a surge of tourist groups, almost turning the entire Suyan town into a tourist route. Not long ago, you visited Suyan town and helped promote the Lion Dance troupe through social media. This ancient town, known for its traditional performing arts, has attracted a lot of attention from young people. Apart from traditional performing arts, the ancient town's traditional cuisine and the locals' leisurely, comfortable lifestyle are also quite invaluable, attracting a considerable number of tourists in a short period. Right in front of you is a group of tourists. Over the bustling crowd, you catch a glimpse of a tea house at the corner of the street surrounded by quite a few people. You reach out and grab Luke to take a look. Look, there are a lot of people up ahead.
어디... 며칠 전에 우리가 갔던 백년호 찻집 아냐? 가서 확인해보자.
There's an old style building on the street with a signboard that reads Centennial Tea House. The entrance is crowded with people, all discussing the same topic to be on TV.
방송국에서 고씨 아저씨네 찻집을 촬영하러 온다고 했어. 대단하다니까. 모닝티를 마시면서 TV에 나올 수 있다니.
You turn around and whisper to Luke as you catch some information from the crowd's discussion. They say that the TV station is coming to shoot a food documentary. They're probably interested in the local dim sum culture.
잘 됐다. 모두 기뻐하겠어.
Local residents often have the habit of enjoying dim sum, which is actually not limited to a specific time of day. Ordering a pot of tea with a few bite-sized dishes, one can always enjoy a satisfying meal at any time. This Centennial Tea House is the most popular time-honored shop in town, with a history of 99 years, making it a representative of Suyan Town's dim sum culture. Huddling up in the back row and listening with great interest, you and Luke are spotted by an uncle who warmly greets you too.
아, 마침 혁이네 커플도 여기 있었구나. 너희 덕분에 연무마을이 유명해졌어. 말 좀 해봐. 방송을 타면 우리 마을이 더 유명해지겠지.
Suyan Town is not a large place, and most neighbors are well acquainted with each other. After spending a few days here, you've also become familiar with many locals. Surrounded by excited and curious neighbors, Luke smiles and patiently explains to everyone.
아저씨, TV 말고도 좋은 다큐멘터리는 인터넷에서 수백만, 수천만 조회수가 나올 수도 있어요. 정말 좋은 홍보 수단이에요. 더 많은 사람들이 연무마을의 식문화에 대해 알 수 있을 거예요.
아이고, 고씨 아저씨네 찻집이 드디어 가문을 빛내겠어.
The old shopkeeper known as Uncle Gavin is famous for being easygoing and friendly. He is now surrounded by the crowd, but his face is furrowed with worry despite the joyful occasion.
그렇게 많은 사람들이 본다니. 에휴, 어쩐다.
고씨 아저씨, 왜 그러세요?
두 사람에게 부탁할 일이 생겼단다. 에휴, 밖이 많이 덥네. 일단 안으로 들어와 앉으려무나.
The old man frowns and sighs, then shakes his sleeves to make an after you gesture, welcoming you two into the tea house. Centennial Tea House. The tea house is decorated in a classic and refined style. Despite its small size, several rows of wooden tables and red stools are placed tightly together. The tea sets are all white with blue floral patterns, and the walls are adorned with food-themed posters. Most of the people dining in the tea house are frequent customers. When they hear about the documentary shooting, they all stand up to congratulate him, which makes Uncle Gavin's brows furrow even more as he quickens his pace, leading you to a corner seat. Once everyone is seated, Uncle Gavin skillfully rinses the teacups with hot water and begins pouring tea. His actions are deliberate yet silent, revealing nothing of his intentions. Unable to hold back, Luke is the first to break the silence.
고시 아저씨, 무슨 일인데 그러세요? 왜 그렇게 기분이 안 좋으세요?
기쁘지. 당연히 기쁘지. 다큐멘터리를 촬영하는 건 좋은 일이잖아. 근데 일이 이렇게 꼬일 줄이야. 내가 당분간 외지로 가서 조미료를 들여와야 해. 이 일정은 오래전에 정해진 거고. 가게를 다른 사람에게 맡기자니 마음이 놓이지 않아서 혹시 너희들에게 부탁할 수 있을까 생각하고 있었어.
Entrust the tea house to us, but what can we help with it? With?
요리 사랑 직원들은 가게에 남아 있으니 너희가 크게 고생할 건 없어. 그냥 방송국 사람들을 잘 맞이해주고 홍보만 잘해주면 돼. 나한테는 이 일이 중요한 일이라 너희에게 부탁해야 마음이 놓일 것 같구나.
Uncle Gavin's face flushed as he speaks, like an honest craftsman with traditional thinking standing helplessly before a new world, embarrassed about asking someone for help. It's so hard to refuse an old man's earnest and pleading gaze. However, the tea house filming carries an extra meaning of remembrance. You and Luke exchange a look and ask him about it.
그런데 이렇게 중요한 일에 아저씨가 빠진다면 아쉽지 않겠어요?
Uncle Gavin picks up the teapot and weighs it in his hand, seemingly chuckling.
그냥 조상님들에게 부끄럽지 않게만 하면 돼. 후회는 없어야 하니까. 차를 좀 더 내올 테니 앉아 있으렴.
Uncle Gavin walks away with the teapot, deliberately leaving you two some time to discuss. Glancing at Uncle Gavin's back, Luke leans on the edge of the table and looks at you.
찻집을 봐달라니 재미있을 것 같은데 같이 해볼래?
Sure, you mentioned you want to replan the town trip route, so we can take these days to think about it.
근데 조금 이해가 안 되는 부분이 있어. 내가 너무 과하게 생각하는 걸지도 모르겠지만
Luke mumbles thoughtfully as he rests his chin on the back of his hand and shakes his head.
됐어. 더 생각하지 말자. 내가 고시 아저씨한테 가서 고민하지 말라고 할게.
Okay, I'll go with you. Upon receiving a positive reply, Uncle Gavin's face lights up with relief, and he immediately leads you to familiarize yourself with the tea house works as well as the specialties. There is nearly a century worth of history and hundreds of dim sum dishes. By the time you two finish training and leave the tea house, it's already dark. Outside the tea house. As the night falls, the street is bathed in a warm glow from the lights. Colorful lanterns are hung high at the entrance of the tea house, welcoming a steady stream of customers coming for dinner. Uncle Gavin walks you two to the door, holding your hands and Luke's hands on either side and repeatedly reminding you.
너희에게 한 가지 알려주는 걸 깜빡했구나. 찻집에 자주 오는 어르신들 말이야. 다들 성격이 제멋대로야. 예를 들면 봉구는 떠들며 가십거리 나누는 걸 좋아하고 조씨 부부는 때와 장소를 가리지 않고 아침부터 저녁까지 싸우고는 하지. 에휴, 꼭 손님들에게 좋은 이미지를 유지하라고 당부해 주렴. 연무마을의 이미지가 깎이지 않도록 말이야.
Yes, we'll make sure to do that.
그래, 여기까지만 배웅하마. 돌아가서 푹 쉬렴.
After this, Uncle Gavin gazes up the tea house signboard where the characters Centennial Tea House are written with vigorous strokes as if piercing through the fabric of time and history.
내일 찻집은 너희에게 맡기마.
걱정하지 마세요. 내일 아침에 바로 여기로 올게요.
Watching Uncle Gavin's figure retreating into the tea house, you sigh softly. I thought it wouldn't be hard to take care of the tea house for a few days, but after hearing about those regular customers, I feel nervous now.
걱정하지 마. 어쩌면 이런 진짜 삶의 분위기가 시청자들의 마음을 움직일지도 몰라.
Really?
응? 그런 예감이 들어. 그리고 나도 이런 정겨운 분위기를 좋아하거든.
Midway through his sentence, he suddenly raised his hand to catch a colorful shuttlecock that is flying through the air. He weighs it in his hand for a moment before precisely throwing it back to a group of kids by the roadside. Facing cheers and applause from these kids, Luke waves his hand toward his admirers and then casually loops his arms behind his head, leaning back.
시끌벅적한 분위기와 별난 이웃들이라니 듣기만 해도 재밌어 보여. 이곳 사람은 아니지만 이렇게 네 손을 잡고 걷다가 쉬다가 하는 것도 이곳에 속한 거 아닐까?
The hanging round lanterns cast light on Luke's profile, while a strand of red velvet hanging by his ear rustles and sways. He gazes up the streets and alleys like a character emerging from the pages of an ancient comic or an illustrated book for the first time, marveling at a world illuminated by lights.
사실 웃음소리가 가득한 곳은 어디든 지나칠 때마다 자꾸 상상하게 되더라고. 우리가 이곳에서 같이 살아간다면 어떤 모습일까 하고.
A thousand lights melted in his eyes. Luke tilts his head and gives you a sparkler. He had witnessed it all, yet he wishes to traverse once again by your side. You hook onto his arm, trying to sneak up to whisper, but a red bead streaks your forehead. You can't help but lean into him, laughing. We can experience it tomorrow. While talking, you two blend into the bustling crowd together, brushing past a silver-haired couple who are walking hand in hand. As you turn the corner, you encounter an old craftsman from the storytelling trope, holding a three-string instrument to sing and play. Tourists from distant lands pause in quiet admiration as the breeze stirs the hems of everyone's blues. Meanwhile, students, having just finished their evening classes, paddle home together beneath the night sky. The night breeze billows against the students' uniforms, turning them into capes, while a few pages of a comic book by the newsstand flatter open, revealing the words to be continued, a promised laugh for tomorrow. Tea house. Towers of steaming baskets release clouds of fragrant vapor, while small pots of slow simmered soup are brought to the tables one after another. The tea house hums with life. Today, so full of guests that no one has a moment to pause. Busy yet not exhausting, just like the town's slow pace of life, the tea house creates a leisurely and composed ambience which rarely lets both of you find joy in it. While you are busy in the prep area, Luke brings over an ordered menu, furrowing his brows as he approaches.
이상한데? 저쪽 테이블 손님들 싸울 것 같단 말이지.
No way! Which table is it? The filming crew will be here soon. Please don't fight.
저기, 저 테이블이야.
You look in the direction Luke is pointing and see an old couple sitting at a two-person table. They are fiercely arguing over something, making the atmosphere quite tense. Doesn't look good. I'll go check on them with you after I finish preparing the meal. Tea house. By the time you arrive, the battle has already escalated. The silver-haired granny slaps her hand on the table and raises her voice, drawing the attention of the surroundings. The customers here call her Granny Chow, and her tone of mediation is quite skilled, as if she was accustomed to such scenes.
내가 꽃에 물 주지 말라고 했는데 기억도 못하다니. 내가 이 집 딤섬도 싫다고 했는데 말이야. 이 노인네, 당신 일부러 날 화나게 하려는 거지?
에휴, 세상 일을 어떻게 예측하나. 꽃도 생로병사가 있는 거지. 이 꽃이 죽은 게 다 내 탓은 아니잖아. 그리고 옛날에 당신 이 집 딤섬 제일 좋아했었잖아. 우리가 막 결혼했을 때.
아이고, 그건 50년 전 일이잖아. 한번 생각해 보시오. 50년이나 지났는데 내 입맛이 그대로겠냐고. 참.
바뀔 수 있죠. 당연히 바뀔 수 있죠.
Luke, who has rushed over to check on the situation, is suddenly called by the granny. Surprised, he blinks and goes up to mediate with a smile.
어르신들, 진정하세요. 날이 더우면 짜증이 나기 마련이죠. 자, 차 한 잔 먼저 드세요. 딤섬이 싫으시면 다른 걸 드셔보세요. 맞은편 가게의 차슈빵도 정말 맛있답니다. 두 분, 잠시만 앉아 계세요. 제가 가서 사다 드릴게요.
With a few simple words, Luke manages to calm the two parties down. However, Granny Kiao is still glaring at the old man. With a stern expression, she puts down her chopsticks and bowl and leaves the tea house, leaving Grandpa Chiao sitting firmly on his seat. Grandpa Chiao, aren't you going to catch up to her?
급할 필요 없다. 분명 노래하는 꽃가게로 갔을 테니. 지름길로 가면 내가 더 빨리 도착할 거야. 이건 포장해서 가져가야겠다. 젊은이, 포장 좀 해주게.
네, 포장 도와드릴게요.
You two quickly help to pack up the dim sum. With a cane in one hand and a dim sum box in another, Grandpa Chiao slowly walks out of the tea house to chase after Granny Chiao.
깜짝 놀랐네.
Yeah. With two overlapping sighs, Luke reaches out and rubs the tip of your nose. He hurriedly leaves after hearing a greeting from behind. You also return to the prep area to continue your work. Outside the tea house. After the evening rush hour, the staff of the tea house can finally take turns to rest. Everyone gathers in clusters to find a seat for some tea and a late night snack. You sit next to the small stone table at the entrance, holding two bowls of iced lotus seed dessert soup, waiting for Luke to meet up with you. Not long after the bamboo curtain in front of the tea house rolls up, Luke descends the steps and sits opposite you.
방금 고시 아저씨한테 전화가 왔는데 다큐멘터리 촬영팀한테 갑자기 급한 일이 생겨서 이틀 정도 늦게 온다고 하네.
It's lucky they weren't here today. Otherwise, the scene of Grandpa Chiao and Granny Chiao's argument would have ruined the image of the tea house.
그게 싸운 거야? 내가 보기에는 애정 과시 같던데? 평생을 함께한 노부부가 방송에 나와서 애정을 과시하면 사람들이 부러워할걸?
Being together for a lifetime, I wonder what we'll be like when we reach that age.
아직 생각해 본 적은 없지만 한 가지는 확신해. 너랑 말다툼하지는 않을 거야.
Luke says while stirring the sweet drink and picking out a lotus seed to eat. Are you sure?
물론이지. 소중한 시간을 말다툼하면서 낭비할 수는 없잖아. 너랑 하고 싶은 게 정말 많아. 너와 햇볕 아래에서 산책하면서 강가나 작은 공원도 가고 저녁에 집으로 돌아갈 땐 매일 다른 길로 걷고 싶어. 그래도 고개를 들면 항상 우리 집 창문이 보였으면 좋겠고.
The moment you started on this topic, Luke keeps talking about it, stating one thing after another. These answers seem to have been buried in his heart for a long time. You move your hands away from the bowl and prop up your chin to gaze at him intently. You've already planned our future life in such detail.
그냥 하나씩 흩어져 있던 생각들을 모은 거야. 가끔 다른 일로 바쁠 때도 머릿속에 문득 어떤 장면이 스치곤 하거든. 너와 관련된 일이기도 하고 우리의 미래와 관련된 일이기도 해서 그런가? 떠오르면 자꾸 되새기고 상상하게 돼. 마치 햇빛 아래 비치는 무지갯빛 비눗방울을 보는 것처럼 말이야. 금방 사라질 걸 알면서도 최대한 많이 보고 싶어.
As Luke speaks with excitement, he reaches his hand into the void as if trying to hold onto something. There aren't any iridescent bubbles on this street, but many people are releasing wish lanterns in the distance. Gazing up, you see thousands of lanterns aglow. Looking down, you are captivated by the shimmering lights in Luke's eyes.
이런 추억을 조금 더 많이 쌓을 수 있게 해줘. 쌓이고 쌓여서 훗날 베개 맡에서 첫 번째 흰머리를 발견했을 때 내게 이렇게 말할 수 있게. 너무 좋아. 내가 드디어 흰머리가 날 때까지 너와 함께 했구나.
Okay. You speak in a hushed tone, and as your voice fades, a quiet stillness settles over everything. Most passersby have wandered off to watch the wish lanterns, leaving the two of you by the stone table, as if the summer night itself had momentarily forgotten you. After the people lantern drifts away from sight, the night sky resembles a dark, inky sea into which your heart sinks slowly. Seemingly sensing the shift in your emotions, Luke's fingertips glide over the bowl, and the silver spoon strikes the white porcelain with a clink. He awkwardly changed the topic of the conversation.
내 착각인가? 끝에 먹은 연꽃씨가 유난히 달콤한 것 같은데?
It is sweet. You happen to eat the last sugared lotus seed, like a sweet solace that comes after the bitterness. But in an early autumn of the past, Luke shared an interesting saying. As the bamboo raft pushes through the lake of lotus leaves, he pulls along and tells you that each lotus seed contains a world, so a single lotus pod holds countless worlds. In that case, there should be a world. Close your eyes, Luke.
눈을 감으라고? 지금?
You chew the feeling that can't be put into words and swallow them along with the sweet lotus seed. As the wind plays with the flickering shadows of the lanterns, you lean across the stone table to kiss his lips. The last lotus seed on the bottom of white porcelain bowl is incredibly sweet. Amidst the countless worlds in a lotus pod, there should be one world where his wish comes true. Close your eyes, Luke. Your wish is not a mirage under the sunlight. The kiss in front of the lantern is right. This is real. The same goes for your future. Past the silvered years where life and death converge in the most remote chapters of time and tales untold, you will always be by his side. Tea house.
이렇게 천둥번개가 치고 폭우가 내리는 날에는 사람들은 대개 외식을 피하겠지. 다만 세 부류의 사람만은 예외야.
Which three types? The torrential rain isolates this small tea house into a solitary island. The hall is devoid of customers and other staff, leaving only Luke and you to keep watch. Luke, holding a copy of the third type of person in a rainy night, selects a chapter that fits the current scene perfectly. You wonder if he's intentionally trying to scare you, because his tune is full of ups and downs.
첫 번째는 목숨을 노리는 연쇄살인마. 두 번째는 목숨을 걸고 사건을 쫓는 외로운 탐정. 세 번째,
His words are interrupted by the bang as the door is slammed open. The sounds of wind and rain suddenly becomes chaotic, with the rain seeming as so close as if it is being poured right beside your ears. Raindrops splashing as the water-soaked soles tread on the floor tiles. A teen in a school uniform approaches with heavy steps. A transparent droplet slowly slides down the frame of his glasses. White lightning steers through the sky, illuminating the metal nameplate on his chest. Class 2-3 Sean Ma.
메뉴판 좀 주세요. 감사합니다.
Okay. Tea house. Only three types of person who would eat out in such weather: a serial killer, a lone detective, and Sean Ma from class 2-3, a teen who doesn't like rainy days. As you deliver the food, you hear a faint sigh from the high school student in the corner.
비가 끝도 없이 내리네. 아침부터 밤까지 계속 내리잖아. 가방 맨 밑에 있는 책에도 곰팡이가 피겠어.
Why did you go out without an umbrella when it's raining heavily outside?
쓰기 싫어요.
Why?
별다른 이유는 없어요. 시험을 망친 거에 무슨 이유가 있겠어요. 객관식 5번 문제에서 1번을 선택하고 2번을 선택하지 않은 것에 무슨 이유가 있겠나요? 공부시키는 게 얼마나 힘든지 알아? 대학에만 들어가면 다 괜찮아질 거야. 어린 녀석이 무슨 고민이 있다고.
His hair is soaked by the rain, and his eyes are empty as he repeats someone else's words. After murmuring a few lines, he lowers his head.
다 맞는 말이긴 해요. 다음에는 잘할 거예요. 근데 왜 하필 오늘 비가 오는 걸까요?
비는 곧 그칠 거예요. 우선 머리부터 말려요.
Luke hands him a towel. He doesn't take it, his head lowered as he wipes the droplets on the table with his sleeve, leaving a thin trail of water.
감사합니다. 근데 괜찮아요. 조금 있으면 마를 거예요. 이런 사소한 일로 속상해할 필요 없어요.
슬픔에 크고 작은 게 어디 있어요. 아무리 사소하더라도 학생이 느낀 슬픔은 진짜잖아요.
Luke puts the towel on the top of his head and rubs it hard, causing water droplets to splash all around.
오늘 날씨가 화창했더라도 고민을 아무도 모르는 곳에 숨겼더라도 스스로를 속일 순 없을 거예요. 어릴 때는 혼자 힘으로 바꿀 수 있는 게 사실 별로 없죠. 오히려 걱정만 더 많아져요.
He drapes the towel over the back of the chair, folds his arms, and leans down to observe the high school students opposite him for a moment before speaking softly.
자식, 공부하느라 힘들었나?
Having stayed here for quite a few days, Luke has learned some local phrases from the tea house craftsman. Although not quite fluent, the end of his sentence is unusually soft and drawn out. The black-haired head before him trembles slightly. Sharma stares at his shoes for a long time, takes a deep breath, and then looks up with a forced smile.
아니에요. 뭐든 쉬운 일은 없잖아요. 저보다 더 힘든 사람도 많을 거예요. 저도 고생 많긴 했지만. 이제 복습하러 가야겠어요. 다 잘 될 거예요. 오늘 비만 안 왔다면 더 좋았을 텐데.
Shanma's tone is light and cheerful, but he remains seated without moving, as if his emotions are trying hard to pull himself out of the gloomy weather, while his body is sluggishly trapped in a place. You touch the teacup and feel that the tea is still warm. You push it in front of him. Sit for a while longer. I'll go get a new towel. Wipe your head dry before you leave.
우선 하나 줄게요. 우선 앉아서 뭐라도 먹어요.
Luke buries his head behind the counter looking for an umbrella while you go get a new towel. By the time you return, Shanma is already gone. Luke is the only person left in the lobby. Huh? Where is he?
집에 갔어. 우리한테 쪽지 하나 남기고.
But
괜찮아. 이것 좀 봐.
Luke shows you the note, which is a half-torn page from an exercise book, writing, "I'll be fine. Thanks a lot." After the text, there are several symbols drawn into peculiar smiley faces. Luke folds the handwriting, leaving only the smiley faces.
봐봐. 이렇게 많은 웃는 얼굴을 그린 건 우리에게 비 온 뒤엔 찬란한 맑은 날이 올 거야 라고 말하는 거야.
Yes, every kind of smile is different. You come closer to the paper, but the folded page suddenly slips between you and Luke. When you raise your eyes, you're greeted by Luke's smiling eyes.
나도 그릴 수 있어. 잠깐 생각 좀 해보고 그려줄게.
Okay, have a try. As closing time approaches, the rain abates. Luke goes to the storage room to find the spare umbrella while you tidy up the clutter at the tea counter. You hear hurried footsteps behind you. Just as you're about to ask him if he's found an umbrella, you see a small note pushed in front of you. For me? Without saying a word, he leans against the counter and pulls coolly, yet subtly extends two fingers, walking a little person across the countertop to inch the note forward. You open the square-shaped note and his handwriting comes into view.
좋은 소식. 예비용 우산을 찾았어. 나쁜 소식은 뒷면을 봐줘. 우산을 딱 하나만 찾았어. 그러니까 나랑 집에 같이 가.
The exclamation mark is followed by two simple drawn smiley faces, with a caret symbol on the left and right representing the curved smiling eyes, and the inverted triangle in the center resembling his upturned lips. You hold the note in your palm and smile, not saying anything. As Luke glances over, you quickly wrap your arms around him. Let's go home. Tea house. After the hustle and bustle of the daytime has faded away, the tea house takes on a completely different appearance during the late night snack time. A handful of customers gather around the tea table, chatting leisurely. Their conversation ranges from the food prices to children's education, neighborhood weddings and funerals, and their children working in big cities.
대도시 애들은 힘들지. 회사 스트레스도 크고 밥도 삼시세끼 못 챙겨 먹고. 아, 혁이도 대도시에서 왔잖아. 못 믿겠으면 혁이한테 물어봐.
In the heat of the conversation, they invite Luke to join the conversation, but Luke is currently lying in front of the tea counter, dozing off against your shoulder. Last night, he received an urgent online task and didn't finish it until dawn, yet he still needs to muster up energy to help out at the tea house today.
사실 그렇게까지 힘들진 않아요.
선생님, 그건 안심하셔도 됩니다. 지난 시즌 저희 메인 제품의 재구매율이 30%를 넘었거든요. 이건
A voice behind you, unrelated to the question, speak up as a customer carrying a laptop bag and wearing wireless earbuds while on a call, pushes the door open and strides in with haste.
소비자들은 이미 브랜드 충성도를 갖췄습니다. 지금이야말로 기세를 몰아 저희 브랜드 매트릭스를 내놓을 때입니다.
The person speaks non-stop on the phone while swiftly checking off the menu items and handing it to you. She then proceeds to open the laptop all in one go. This customer is still working overtime at such a late hour. What a tough job. Tea house. The chatting customers have already paid their bill and left. As you two push the catering cart to serve the last customer, she is holding her earbuds and shouting hoarsely.
여보세요? 아만다 씨, 들리나요? 아, 끊겼네. 이런 좋은 일이 다 있다니.
After she realizes that she lost connection, she calmly puts away her phone and closes her laptop, politely calling out to you two.
저기 혹시 여기 추천 메뉴가 있나요? 전화하느라 정신이 없어가지고 뭘 주문했는지도 모르겠네요.
The dishes you ordered happen to be the specialties of our restaurant, but how come you have so much work to handle? Even when you are traveling?
아, 어쩔 수 없죠. 일이라는 건 끝이 없으니까요. 사실 저는 여기 정착하려고 사직서까지 쓸 생각이었어요.
The young lady lowers her voice but couldn't hide her excitement.
풍경도 좋고 물가도 싸잖아요. 그래서 작은 정원이 있는 집을 하나 사서 고양이랑 강아지를 키우면서 야근 없는 이상적인 삶을 살고 싶더라고요. 사직서까지 다 써놨는데 막상 내려니 망설여졌어요.
아, 뭐가 망설여졌는데요?
Luke rubs his eyes and joins the topic with curiosity.
일 때문이죠. 좋아서 선택한 일이었거든요. 물론 야근이 짜증나고 사장도 짜증나고 다 짜증나서 그만두고 싶을 때도 있어요. 그런데 좋아하는 마음은 쉽게 사라지지 않더라고요. 포기하고 싶을 때마다 처음 느꼈던 열정이 떠올라요. 머릿속에서 항상 이런 소리가 들려요. 지금이 예전에 꿈꿨던 이상적인 삶이야. 네, 여보세요? 네, 들려요.
She abruptly adjusts her earbuds and shifts her tune, seemingly because the connection on the other end has been restored, and the late-night conference call continues as usual. Without disturbing her, the two of you push the catering cart and leave quietly. On the way back to the kitchen, Luke hangs by your side like a doll, half asleep. You can't help poking at his face. I'll keep an eye on things here. You go take a break for a while.
너랑 같이 있고 싶어. 근데 퇴근 곧 하는 거지?
As he speaks, he gently yawns. Suyantown North Street. After seeing off the last customer and locking up the tea house, you and Luke head back to the B&B along the quiet streets at night. A sky of twinkling stars whispers lullabies of sweet dreams. As you walk the way on your arms grows heavier with each step. Glancing over, you find Luke nesting against your shoulder and dozing off.
내가 걸으면서 잘 수 있을까? 아니지. 걸으면서 자고 거기다 너랑 얘기까지 하면서.
His hair gently brushes against your neck, his indistinct whispers taking on the air of cute tenderness. As you pause, you turn to look at him. What do you want to tell me?
아까 그 손님이 말한 이상적인 삶 있잖아. 곰곰이 생각해보니까 꽤 매력적이더라고. 우리도 여기에 작은 정원이 있는 집 하나 사자. 채소도 심고 과일나무도 몇 그루 심고 땅콩이한테 집도 만들어주는 거야. 그렇게 사계절 자연스럽게 흘러가는 삶을 살면서 너랑 계속 함께 있을 수 있게 말이야.
Sounds good, but why do I feel like this small courtyard will eventually become a new antique shop or a detective agency? You pat Luke's forearm. When you raise your hand, you notice that his wristband has been partially unraveled, entangling with the button on your sleeve. Since you two won't be parting ways along this journey, there's no rush to untangle them. Luke opens his arms and hugs you, his chin resting on your shoulder as he gently nods.
그것도 괜찮네?
Luke, look up. He lifts his head slightly to see the myriad stars, and before you, the streetlights twinkle, interlaying with the starry night. Are the stars in this night sky any different from the ones we see at home? Sometimes when you're out on a task or I'm on a business trip, I think it doesn't matter even if we are thousands of kilometers apart. Look, we're under the same stars. You caress his back repeatedly, and by your ear is a muffled, indistinct voice. The words are unclear, but you can tell he's repeating something over and over again.
한 개, 두 개, 세 개. 북두칠성은 7개네.
What are you counting? Luke slowly loosens the arms he has wrapped around you. You're both still connected by the wristband entangled with the sleeve button.
하늘에 별이 얼마나 있는지 세면서 그 별들한테 우리의 모습을 기억하게 하려고. 다음에 우리가 일 때문에 떨어져 있을 때 가장 빠르게 달리는 별을 보내서 안부를 전할게. 걱정하지 마, 혁아. 금방 집에 갈 거야. 뭐야. 많이 보고 싶다고? 이런 우연이.
The countless stars follow invisible paths across the sky, and among them, the fastest running one has a voice just like Luke's. It is equally bright, just like Luke's eyes.
혁이도 지금 네 생각을 하고 있어.
Yes, what a coincidence. You continue walking down the street, your long shadows trailing behind you, leaving behind a myriad of lights and stars. Tea house. A page of the calendar is flipped. After a stormy day, the sky in Suyan town is clear and sunny. Under the anticipation of the tea house staff, the documentary filming crew, made up of dozens of people, arrive at Suyan town. The crew leader claims to be the program's producer. He walks up to you two for a handshake with a humble and warm attitude.
여러분, 너무 긴장하지 마세요. 그냥 평범한 손님이라 생각하시고 추천 메뉴 몇 가지만 소개해 주시면 됩니다.
No problem. We'll recommend the dishes for you.
저희 찻집 사장님께서는 30년 동안 딤섬 요리를 만들어 오셨어요. 가문의 비법도 전수받으셨죠. 분명 마음에 드실 거예요.
Luke skillfully socializes, and while his hand behind his back discreetly gestures toward the direction of the kitchen, as if saying he'll leave the rest to the chefs. Meanwhile, the chefs in the kitchen are eager to have a go, gesturing and implying not to worry as they have things handled. Tea house. The tea house is as harmonious and joyful as always, with orders being placed, dishes being served, and steaming baskets being delivered to the tables. But upon closer observation, it becomes clear that these regular local customers are not really interested in eating, but rather they are secretly observing the crew's every move, hoping that the local cuisine will leave a stunning impression on the customers from afar. The producer raises his chopsticks in the face of many gazes. The signature rice roll is translucent and shiny, with a sweet and smooth mouthfeel. After tasting it, he raises his thumb high.
한마디로 굿입니다.
Many people around you let out a sigh of relief. Luke lifts your fingers and gives the chefs waiting anxiously in the kitchen an air high five. However, after taking a bite, the producer puts down his chopsticks.
안타깝지만 저희는 단순히 음식을 먹으러 온 게 아니에요. 한 끼 식사를 통해 음식 뒤에 숨겨진 이야기를 담고 싶은 거죠. 음식을 출발점으로 한 지역의 풍토와 사람들의 정을 보여주는 것. 그게 저희의 창작 이념입니다. 두 분이 찻집을 대표해 저희를 맞이해 주셨지만 직원인 것 같지는 않군요. 말투를 들어보니 이 지역 분들도 아닌 것 같고요.
The producer gazes past you and Luke. There is a smile on his face, but there is a hint of suspicion in his voice. We really aren't.
사장님이 물건을 들여오느라 외지로 나가셔서 저희가 며칠 동안 도와드리게 된 거예요.
Luke stands next to you and explains. The small change causes the filming crew to whisper. An old man who has been sitting aside leisurely sipping poor tea hurries to offer more explanation.
맞아요, 맞아요. 이 청년들 아는 거 엄청 많아요. 요 며칠 동안 찻집에 큰 도움을 줬다니까요.
사실 별다른 도움이 필요한 건 아니에요. 다큐멘터리라는 건 무엇보다 진짜 사람, 진짜 이야기, 그리고 진짜 삶이 중요하거든요. 하지만 여기서 살아보지도 않은 사람이 과연 이곳의 이야기를 제대로 전할 수 있을까요?
The producer smiles and looks around the lobby. He picks up his teacup and drinks it in one gulp.
죄송하지만 저희에게는 원칙이 있습니다. 진짜 사장님이 오실 때까지 촬영을 중단하겠습니다.
네, 저희가 사장님께 전달드릴게요.
As the film crew departs, the tea house suddenly becomes quiet and desolate. The old man who engaged in the previous conversation puts down his poor tea and approaches Luke, nervously rubbing his hands.
내가 말 실수해서 저 사람들 기분 나쁘게 한 거 아니겠지?
아니에요, 아저씨. 전혀 그런 거 없어요. 다들 너무 잘해주셨는걸요.
Luke smiles casually and puts his hands on his shoulders, looking to the neighboring tables and comforting the distressed folk.
촬영팀도 그들만의 기준이 있는 거죠. 아까 말했잖아요. 고시 아저씨가 돌아오시면 바로 촬영을 시작하겠다고요.
That's right. Filming can start once Uncle Gavin comes back. After some reassurance, everyone gradually relaxes in relief. The staff return to their posts, the customers continue with their meals, and the tea house is bustling again. Luke looks at the backs of the crowd with a frown as he contemplates.
고시 아저씨는 왜 하필 이럴 때 물건을 들이러 가신 걸까?
He said the itinerary had already been set.
내가 주방장님한테 물어봤는데 찻집의 조미료와 식재료는 다 충분하대. 새로 들여올 필요가 없다던데? 게다가 봐봐. 다큐멘터리 촬영 소식에 찻집 직원이며 이웃 사람들이며 모두 기뻐하잖아. 자랑스럽게 여긴다고. 사장인데 이런 중요한 시기에 가게를 비우는 게 이상하단 말이지.
You think Uncle Gavin is using the excuse of purchasing goods to avoid filming? But why would he do that? Luke leans against the pillar, deep in thought.
어쩌면 이 일을 너무 중요하게 여기다 보니 아저씨 혼자 감당하지 못할까봐 그런 것 같기도 해.
So, Uncle Gavin specifically asked us to look after the tea house because he thought we could do better, and he himself.
이건 그냥 내 추측일 뿐이고 진짜 이유는 고시 아저씨한테 물어봐야겠지?
Let's call him now and tell him about everything that happened today. Luke nods and avoids the other staff and customers with you. You two enter into a small and unoccupied private room to call Uncle Gavin. After the call is answered, you thoroughly convey everything that has happened today and sadly ask about the real reason behind his departure from the tea house. Luke's guess is correct. Purchasing goods is just an excuse. For the real reason, Uncle Gavin remains silent for a long time and only promises to explain in person when he returns tomorrow. Tea house. The next day, during the off-peak hours of tea house, a familiar figure suddenly walks through the door, looks around, and then sits on a corner seat. Uncle Gavin, you're back. But why are you sitting here? Uncle Gavin covers himself with the menu and looks around the tea house. He relaxes only after realizing that the firm crew is not present.
에휴, 밤새 달려왔더니만 배가 고프구나.
그럼 우선 뭐라도 드시면서 천천히 말씀 나눠요.
Luke stands behind Uncle Gavin and smiles at you. The two of you tacitly choose not to expose his excuse. Tea house. Sitting in his own tea house, Uncle Gavin looks particularly restless. He holds the teacup in silence while you and Luke sit quietly on the opposite side without pressing him. After refilling the tea twice, Uncle Gavin finally explains the whole story, and in a nutshell, concerns Brain's confusion.
난 다큐멘터리 촬영같이 가문을 빛낼 만한 큰 일은 절대로 망치면 안 된다고 생각했어. 근데 난 뭐 아는 것도 없고 젊은 사람들처럼 유식하거나 세상 물정에 박지가 않지. 그래서 핑계를 대고 너희에게 이 일을 맡긴 거다. 정말 미안하구나.
Uncle Gavin, don't say that. Actually, you know this tea house better than anyone else.
맞아요. 찻집 안에서 일어난 크고 작은 이야기는 사장님만이 풀어낼 수 있어요.
Luke sits next to you and nods.
아저씨가 걱정하셨던 이미지 말이에요. 제 생각에는 아무리 좋은 이야기라도 현실성 있는 이야기는 이길 수 없을 것 같아요. 입학, 이사, 부부싸움, 학생들의 땡땡이. 모두 일상적이지만 사람들을 감동시킬 수 있는 소소한 이야기잖아요. 이렇게 누군가를 걱정하고 크고 작은 일 하나하나에 신경 쓰는 이런 일상이 누군가에게는 이상적인 삶일 수도 있어요.
이렇게 얘기하면 사람들이 우리 동네 평범한 이야기를 좋아할까?
I'm sure they will. Just as Uncle Gavin's attitude is softened, a commotion outside attracts the attention of many people. Luke glances at the door.
촬영팀이었네요. 고시 아저씨, 나가서 인사드리죠.
아, 벌써 왔나 보구나. 아, 그래. 오래 기다리게 할 수는 없지.
Suyantown, North Street. You and Luke walk out of the tea house with Uncle Gavin standing under the tea house signboard. Luke places the keys to the front and back doors into Uncle Gavin's palm.
99년 역사를 가진 이 찻집에는 동네 사람들과 함께 써내려간 많은 이야기가 담겨 있잖아요.
그야 당연하지. 다들 우리 요리를 좋아하고 자주 찾아와줘서 가게가 이렇게나 오래 이어질 수 있었던 거야.
So, let's continue writing the stories together. You look over together. The Centennial Tea House signboard is hung at the highest place. The characters are big, and in contrast, the shopkeeper, who is short and thin, has to raise his head high to see the whole picture clearly. Amid the households lining long streets and the hustle and bustle of the world at every corner, the signboard seems as insignificant as the passers-by. A century of memories, bearing the weight of history, resides not only on the signboard but also in the hearts of people. After handing over the keys, Uncle Gavin and the filming crew discuss the filming details. Now that your mission has been accomplished, it's time for you and Luke to step back. The Dragon Dancers, who agreed to help promotion, arrive at the North Street just in time to begin their street patrols, attracting a lot of people to watch. People rush into the streets and you are forced to move and stop from time to time. You try to turn back to hold on to Luke, but he is nowhere to be found. Where is he? You walk out of the crowd and look around for Luke. Suddenly, you hear the faint sound of the engine near the highway. The motorcycle rolls past the fiery red phoenix trees by the roadside, coming to a halt right in front of you. The person on the motorcycle is Luke as he removes his helmet with one hand and smiles at you.
오늘 날씨가 너무 좋다.
Not bad. Where did this motorcycle come from?
빌렸어. 근데 헬멧은 새로 산 거야.
You can't make heads or tails of his words. You stand in place holding onto the helmet he handed you. Looking at Luke, his eyebrows are relaxed and a smile appears on his face.
여러 번 계획을 수정하다가 사람 냄새도 나고 풍경도 좋은 곳을 하나 찾아냈어. 봐, 이 길을 따라가면 오래된 정자 옆에 월화 사원이 있어. 남쪽으로 쭉 가면 연무호수가 나오는데 길가에 신선한 과일도 팔아. 그게 끝이 아니야. 그저 눈앞에 보이는 것만 보여주고 싶지 않거든.
Luke explains his ideas to Yanton, though small in size, is vividly painted with his words, making every grass and tree come alive before your eyes. The wind of late summer sweeps the petals on the last blooming phoenix flowers of the year, twirling them to rest against his chest.
오늘 날씨가 정말 좋다. 여름이 아직 끝나지 않아서 해가 길더라고. 아직 시간이 많다는 말이지? 난 계속 너랑 함께하고 싶어. 작은 마을을 벗어나면 높은 하늘과 넓은 땅이 펼쳐질 테지만 우리를 따라잡지 못할걸? 타봐. 바람 쐬러 가자.
아유, 얼른 받아줘. 내가 다 가고 싶어지는구만.
A sudden shout rings out beside you. You look up. The crowd waiting for the street patrol performance has gathered around. Strangers and familiar faces alike call out to the both of you, turning an ordinary trip into a grand event.
정자를 구경하고 나서 꽃시장도 둘러보렴. 급히 돌아올 필요 없단다.
Grandpa Chow pulls a fishing rod to make way for Granny Chow to stand in the front row, while Sean Ma, who fails to squeeze in, can only stand on the tree stump and shout from afar.
우와, 형! 멋진데요? 자리 나면 저도 한번 태워주세요!
저기 딤섬 좀 싸갖고 가지 그러니.
Uncle Devin is caught at the entrance of the tea house, while the lady seated at an outdoor table with sunglasses on sips her tea serenely typing away on her laptop. Occasionally, she pauses to give a thumbs up in your direction. The regulars greet you warmly, one by one, while passers-by offer their blessings, wishing you things like a long and happy relationship, good fortune, and a peaceful life. The waves of voices, relevant and irrelevant, overwhelm your ears. Only Luke's voice stands out, crisp and distinct.
다른 사람 말은 상관없어. 난 네 말만 들을 거야.
Luke's sudden approach is as gentle as a whisper, and the fiery bright flower bud on his shoulder brushes against the tip of your nose. The street is ablaze with blooming flowers, yet he outshines them all.
꽃 보러 갈래? 딤섬도 챙겨갈까? 아, 제일 중요한 걸 잊었네. 나랑 같이 가줄래?
Of course, let's go. You take his hand, climb onto the motorcycle, put on your helmet, and wrap both arms around his waist. Luke stabilizes the motorcycle with one hand and places the other on the back of the motorcycle, calmly accepting the jokes from others and asking everyone to make way for you with a smile.
드라이브 다녀오겠습니다. 길 좀 비켜주세요.
Amidst the laughter, the crowd parts like a tidal wave to clear a path. Luke fastens his helmet and takes you onto the smooth highway, gradually leaving behind the fiery red trees at the street corner. As you journey forward, the distant flow of water and the green mountains stretch on, while the green hedges climb over the courtyards with black tiles and white walls. On both sides of the road, vendors cry out the sweetness of melons and the fragrance of lychees. Children hide in the shade of trees, playing shuttlecock. On the balconies brimming with flowers and plants, aunties with frying spatulas in hand call for the children to return home. Beneath the expansive azure canopy, the vibrant lanes and happy families that Luke cherish unfold.